All right, I'm here with the Q&A video then that I said I would do at the end for the end of 2020. This was announced in last week's video, and people submitted their questions in last week's game room tour video. So if you missed that for some reason, I would probably going to do a Q&A again at 3,000 subscribers whenever that happens. Or if you would like it, answered more quickly, you could just have it in the comments below, and I'll try to answer it at least. Not as in depth as it would be on camera or on video, but I'll try to answer it to the best of my ability. But with the game room tour video, I want to say thank you for that. Did really, really well. The videos this month have been doing pretty well. I know they're typically the more popular videos I do. PS4 collection, Switch collection, and game room tour that I do at the end of the year every year. But like 2,000 views on the new game room tour video for the channel is really, really good. In the first week, that's really, really good for the channel. So I thank you for that. I'm going to jump into the comments, the questions I got, some questions, and then just a comment I also had that I wanted to acknowledge as well. So I'll go into that now. I got my first questions here from Spoonslabs12. A few questions here. I'm going to answer them all. The first one is any plans to downsize any parts of the collection? I recently cleared out most of the Game Boy and N64 shovelware, and it feels good to have the extra space. No plans right now for clearing anything out. That could change later. If I were to clear anything out, it would be like NES filler stuff, maybe Genesis filler stuff, but I don't really have any plans too much to clear anything out at the moment. I have enough space for it, and I still like having it around. But if it were to be anything, maybe PS2 filler stuff, NES filler stuff would be about it. There's not anything I'm planning to do at the moment, however. Any thoughts on the recent Capcom leak? Specifically, any thoughts on the strong possibility that the Great Ace Attorney game 1 and 2 games might be finally localized? This is big. Daigyakutin Saiban is like a new kind of sub-series of the Ace Attorney series that never got localized. They're 3DS games, and there's a big Capcom leak that showed that they're probably going to get localized. It showed like screenshots from a localization. The Sherlock Holmes is in the game. I think there's some copyright problems with him. So in this Western release, it looks like he's going to be called Herlock Sholmes, which is incredible. But this Capcom leak, it's a little bit tough because it's like a ransomware attack type thing. So some hackers got a bunch of data and then said they won't release it if Capcom pays like $1 million in Bitcoin, something like that. They didn't do that, so now the stuff was leaking out onto 4chan. Some interesting stuff, Resident Evil 4 remake, which we kind of already knew about, but that was in there. A lot of stuff. It looks like Ace Attorney 7 was also on their schedule, stuff to be eventually. But it looks like it was like Q1 or Q2 for this Daigyakutin Saiban localization release on PS4 and Switch. Very excited for that. I should get to the point on the possibility of that happening. Very excited for that. Those are the only Ace Attorney games I haven't played. Ace Attorney is like my favorite game series, pretty much. Definitely up there, if not my favorite. And those are the only ones I have not played, actually. So I've even played Investigations 2, which was also never been localized. I have physical copies of them for 3DS, but I just, I don't speak Japanese. I don't read it, fluently. So that would be, with a game with so much text, it would be difficult. So very excited for that possibility. I think he gets real. There's no reason. I mean, leaks you got to always take with a grain of salt, but there's no reason to think that it's fake. So I would just, I'm thinking it's real, and I'm looking forward to it. So do you have any way to play your import games? Yeah, I do for most of the stuff. So I have import consoles. I have a Japanese GameCube. I have a Japanese PlayStation. I have a Japanese Super Nintendo, Super Famicom. So I have those. The only games I bought some games for Wii, PS2, and Dreamcast that I don't have a way to play yet. Just because the systems were kind of hard to find when I was in Japan, and they're a bit pricey. Those are definitely on my to get when I go back to try to get them for a little cheaper now. It's been a few years since I was there. But yeah, that's a definite possibility that I would want to get those systems because I can't play them. But another big possibility I was thinking of is that I have a couple extra Wiis of like different colors. I might just mod one of those Wiis and just to be able to play Japanese games, because I guess that's pretty easy. I do have a few Japanese Wii games, but that's something I could also do as well. But yeah, I do have ways to play those import games, for the most part at least. What places do you shop online for used, not new games? I usually don't. It's very rare that I go and online and try to buy a used game. Just because, most of this time I just try not to pay retail for retro stuff. And I do most of that, I try to get most of that stuff from garage selling or trading. And I usually just get the stuff, any retro stuff or old stuff I want, I usually get in one of my local game stores with trade credit or with cash. But I usually don't go online too much. If like in the instance that I need to get some retro game that I really want to play really badly, and I want to go at, I would just go on eBay. I know that's kind of the lame answer, but where do you find out who's holding a garage sale? Um, Facebook Marketplace is the big one. That's like the most important one right now. That's where everyone's posting them. I don't like Facebook. I don't like Facebook Marketplace at all, but that is where all of those are. So that's a big one that you're going to want to look into. Other than that, Craigslist is still pretty prominent. There's a couple other websites like Yard Sale, Treasure Hunt, and I think Garage Sale Finder. They kind of just take Craigslist ones though and put it on like a map of your area, which is nice. But Facebook and Craigslist the big two. Any plans to do a controller collection video or a collector's edition collection update? Probably not a plan for a controller collection video. I don't really have too many interesting controllers or anything like that, so I'm not sure. I don't know what I could say about like the Platinum GameCube controller or something basic like white Wii remote controller. But I might do like maybe 10 most interesting random items in my collection, stuff that I don't get to talk about as much. That could be a possibility. That's a good video topic idea. So thank you for that. As far as a collector's edition collection update, that's a possibility. That stuff's kind of put away in tubs right now. And I could, just pull them all out and everything, but don't know how interesting that video would be. Another big part of when I want to make a video is I have to figure out, like, how would I make the thumbnail for that video? So that's a big part of it as well. But that's a possibility, collection edition collection, but probably not as likely as like my 10 most interesting items or something. And then finally, it would be cool to see a video of the first 10 games you ever owned or the first games you got for every console. I like the idea of the first games I got for every console. That's probably a video I'll do in the future. So thank you for that recommendation. As always, I'm always looking for video recommendations for topics you guys would like to see me cover. So leave those in the comments and I may get to them and give you credit for it as well. So first 10 games I ever owned, I don't know if I could do that. So the first games I owned for my Genesis that I got like as a hand-me-down, and I don't remember what games came with that. I don't have a lot of them anymore. I remember there was like a Tom and Jerry game, Sonic 1 and 2, which I still have, obviously. That's a big part, is I just don't remember. So that video would be a lot harder. But thank you for all the questions, Spoon Flaps. Jason wrote in and just made a quick comment that I did want to address. I vote for seeing what's in storage. So I kind of maybe hyped storage up to be a little bit more interesting than it actually is. So what's back there is essentially just console boxes and special editions boxes and like plastic tubs, stuff like that. Some of my eBay selling stuff, like empty cases and manuals. Probably not too interesting. I know some people do like what's in my storage for their game collections, and it's really cool, really obscure stuff. It's not really like that. It's more like just random stuff that I don't have room to display at the moment. So don't really think storage is as interesting. I'm sorry if I made it out to be more interesting, but I did want to make comment on that, and thank you for commenting, Jason. Ryan writes in and asks, I haven't watched the video yet, but I wanted to know how many hours do you game per week, would you say? I don't know if you're a family man, but I'm not and have so much free time to game. Too much, honestly. It's my only hobby. Also, do you go back and play the old retro systems on a regular basis, or do you just collect them only? So the first question, it depends on like what I'm playing at the moment. So I've been playing Yakuza Like a Dragon right now. Really into that game, and it's a pretty beefy game. So I've been spending a lot of time on that one. But like on average in a week, I'm not a fan. I don't have a family of my own or anything. I'm still single. I'm in my early 20s. I'm in graduate school. So I have a good amount of time. Really, it's kind of at the mercy of how big my course load is at any given week for graduate school. If I have a bunch of assignments I have to do, then I won't play any games because I just can't get into it if I have stuff I need to be doing. But I mean, on a week that I'm mostly free, the average I'd probably say is about 15 hours a week. 15 to 20. That's maybe a low end estimate, but I'd say that's probably a decent average. There's times, like I said, where I have, a lot of stuff I have to do for school that I would want to work on, so I don't maybe play at all or hardly play. And then there's times where I'm just completely free. Have a game that I'm really into and I play a ton. Like I played Persona 5 Royal earlier this year, and I finished that game in 110 hours, got the platinum and everything, and I finished it in like 3 weeks. So you can do the math and see that I played that game quite a bit. But as for the second part of the question, do I go back and play old retro systems? Yeah, pretty regularly. Not as much as I play my modern stuff, just it's a bit more accessible and there's more stuff I want to play for it. A lot of the stuff I've wanted to play on these my retro systems I've played already. So one of the big things, I know a lot of retro collectors do like a game night where they'll just grab a bunch of games they want to play and just mess around with them for like 20 minutes. I don't like doing that as much. I like to maybe spend my time a little bit more with stuff. So if there's a game that's like, oh, I really want to sit down and play through, I don't know, for example, like Final Fantasy VII on PlayStation 1, I'll sit down and just play through that game over on my retro original system. But for the most part, I don't just kind of play around with something for like 5 minutes and get off. I will do that if I find a game that's like really weird looking or interesting, but I don't do that too much. I usually try to put more time into the stuff that I play. But yeah, I do play this stuff pretty regularly. The stuff I have hooked up at least. But yeah, thank you for writing in, Ryan. Chad writes in then and says cool room, so thank you for that. Are there any finds that you thought would be good but didn't work out? And do you plan on playing Cyberpunk 2077? It looks cool, but the glitches are scaring me away. So for the first part on that one then, yeah, there's some finds. The biggest thing is like condition, where I get a bundle of stuff and the stuff's in bad condition. Especially like I got a bunch of stuff. A couple instances I can think of is I got a bunch of stuff that I was like, man, this is some good finds. And then it smelled horribly of smoke. It was a little bit yellowed from it. That's definitely one because it's not the end of the world, but if you want to get that stuff either in your collection or sold fast, your smoke, you want to get that out of there. You have to leave it in a box with dryer sheets for like a few weeks to get the smell out. So that's always a bummer. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but that's a bit annoying. Other than that, I'm trying to think. Usually scratch discs is a big one. Like I know two examples I have from this summer that I can think of is I got a bunch of Wii games that were really good, but when I picked them like $1 each, so it's not a big deal. But when I got them home, they were like really scratched, and I just didn't look at them because they were a buck. I didn't look at the backs as much. So that's a big one is scratch discs. Another one was that $80. I got a big bundle of like 50 PS2 games in a system for $80. The system was missing the door and like the PS2 games were all scratched really bad. It's a bit of that's probably the biggest thing. I usually am pretty picky with the stuff I get and I have a price in mind and don't usually go over it by too much. But yeah, definitely scratched, like condition and scratch discs is the biggest one for me. Doesn't always end up working out as well. As for Cyberpunk, yeah, the game looks cool. I'm definitely staying away from it for now. If anyone's not aware, so it came out on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and it's both backwards compatible on the Series X and the PS5. And it looks like that in backwards compatibility, it runs and plays at least okay, a little bit buggy, but okay. And on PC, it runs well. But on base model PS4 and Xbox One, the game is like a disaster. If anyone's not aware, go look up some glitch compilations. It's kind of funny, but yeah, it definitely shouldn't have come out in this state. They should have. And I know native PS5 and Xbox One or Xbox Series X versions are coming out soon, so I'll probably wait for that if I decide to play it. I would like to. It looks cool, but there's enough stuff going on right now that I'm playing that I don't need to really bother. They don't really need to bother with something that's completely broken at this point. But if it's not as broken as some people say, leave it in the comments down below. If you've been playing it on, especially if you've been playing it on base consoles, but if you've been playing it even on like PS5 or Series X, and it's not too bad, let me know. But I'll probably just wait till the native PS5 version. And then Iron Lung writes in and says, nice, great game room tour. So thank you for that. Do you have any system boxes and any plans on displaying them? Yeah, I do keep any and all system boxes I have. And I keep any and all system boxes that I come across that I want to keep. I guess like I keep variants and stuff. Like I have like 3 different Genesis box variants and stuff like that. I keep and I keep all the system boxes for systems that I bought and own myself. So I keep all that stuff, and that's, like I said, all in my storage. As for displaying them, I would like to. I have a few of them on display. It's just a little tough. I don't have a great place to put them. A lot of them go on. A lot of my like box display stuff right now is on top of my shelves, and I have that space kind of full. And it's also a lot of those boxes are too tall for going up there. So I'd like to get a shelf that I can put those up on, but for right now, I don't have them on display. But yeah, I do have plans on displaying them eventually. And that's the last of the comments then. So it got a good amount of comments, about it, same as the last Q&A, which is good. I was kind of concerned that I'd get like everyone put all their comments in the last Q&A, so no one would want to do them in this one, but everyone showed up, so that was good. Hopefully it's a bit of a shorter video. I didn't go on for too long, because I know last week's video was like a half hour, and the week before was an hour, and the week before was 50 minutes. So a bit of a shorter video, hopefully. If you enjoyed this, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Leave a comment down below with any video ideas you might have that you would want to see me do in the new year, and any kind of questions that you might have that you didn't get into the video, if you have anything like that. Follow me on Twitter at ObjoGaming, and I will see you next time.